So this is a new type of video for my channel. Most of the stuff I do is vaping related and vlog related, but I am a big F1 fan. So I'm going to start doing an F1 video. So this is a post-weekend sort of video. So I'm going to go over the qualifying and the race, the results, and anything relevant that has gone on through the weekend, any news, anything to do with the F1. I'm just going to bring up and give my perspective on it and what I think. And my sort of background, I've been an F1 fan since I was 4 years old. I very, very rarely miss a race. I don't think I've missed a race for the past 6 years. So I do watch everything. I watch all the analysis. I'm a huge fan. And it's my sport. It's what I watch. I don't watch football. I don't like rugby. This is what I watch. And I'm a massive F1 fan. I've not got favourite drivers. I've not got favourite teams. My favourite guys of all time are Ayrton Senna, obviously. Everyone loves Ayrton. And James Hunt. Nicky Lauda when he was driving was brilliant. Sterling Moss, Jackie Stewart, all the old guys. I really do appreciate what they did. I grew up in a Mansell era, so I remember watching Mansell win. I remember watching Damon Hill win when he got there. And I do remember watching Ayrton Senna, and I remember the day he died. I did watch that. So I saw that when that happened. I was young, and it left a marked impression. But I got to watch him drive live through the TV. I got to watch him. So that's my background with F1. I do know a lot about this subject. It's been a passion for years. So that's my background and where I'm coming from. So this weekend has been the first race of the 2018 season. It's been from Australia, from Albert Park again. Season opener was a good one. This year they didn't mess around with the qualifying. If you remember, they did that before. But this year the qualifying was pretty much standard affair. We had our 3 sessions. We had Q1, Q2 and Q3. Q1 was kind of predictable. We had all the rookies going out. So we had the likes of Gasly and Hartley and Charles Leclerc. They all went out. The Saubers, which is kind of a disappointment because we were hoping for good things from them, but not so much. They didn't make it through. Also the Toro Rossos, now they've got that Honda engine. There's no surprise that they didn't get out of Q1. Q2 did hold a few surprises. So notably, the surprise would be the McLarens. The McLarens that didn't quite make it into Q3. We were expecting them, with the Renault engines, to now be a lot better, because it was always said they had a really good chassis. And once they got a good engine in there, it would be good to go. But no, they didn't quite make it. Alonso and Stoffel Van Dorn, they didn't quite make it. They were just in their 11th and 12th. So they didn't quite make it all the way up. But the surprise was that the Haas cars, both Haas cars, did make it into the top 10. So they were there for Q3. Now, the big incident from Q3 was Bottas. He spun out, I think it was in turn 3, just went a little bit too far over, went off the racing line, clipped on the glass, sent himself spinning over and smashed in the back of his car, destroyed his gearbox. So he was going to be taking a penalty for that as well. Didn't set a time in Q3, so it was he was going to be in 10th, but then he got a 5-place penalty on top of that for a new gearbox, so he started all the way back down in 15th, which did bump up a couple of people. So Fernando Alonso actually ended up starting in the top 10. So that was that. We had the top 3 coming in as Sebastian Vettel in 3rd, Kimi Räikkönen in 2nd, and Lewis came in number 1, pole position for Lewis, and he was a clear 0.6 seconds ahead of Räikkönen. So that is an epic lap that he did there. Really, really impressive. Got him all the way through onto pole position and keeping up his run of poles. And another one for the record books for him. He's just keep going. So can he translate it to the race though? That's where the big question comes in. So the race started. It was a pretty clean getaway for everyone. There were no accidents straight off the bat. Straight through, no problems. And the only person that seemed to lose out at all was Max Verstappen. Kevin Magnussen in his Haas managed to get past him around the outside of the first turn, so the Haas got into the fourth off the first turn. That was really good for him. First retirement came in lap 4. That was Sorokin in the Williams there, and it's actually been mentioned that it was a sandwich bag that caused the issue. So a sandwich bag got into the vents, killed the engine. So that was his end of his debut. So that didn't go too well for him. Marcus Ericsson, the engine let go, so he was out on lap 5. Pierre Gasly was out. Actually, I got that the wrong way. Ericsson was out on lap 5, and then Gasly, his engine let go, and that was the Toro Rosso, so that's the Honda engine letting go already. So that doesn't bode well. They did a lot of testing over the winter on the new Honda engine, but then that's not ideal. As we're going through, Max Verstappen has a little incident on the same corner that Bottas had his crash in qualifying. He does a complete 360 spin and drops all the way down. Not good for him. He just completely tears it up. The thing is, he was running the super soft tyres where everyone else was running the ultra soft, so he wasn't quite as grippy, and he just pushed it too hard. Back end kicks out, and he did a complete 360 and lost about three places within a matter of seconds. That was essentially his race done. He wasn't going to go much further than that. Up front, Lewis is in the lead. He's taking a nice up front lead. He's getting ahead. He's building up a nice gap to Kimi. And this is a one-stop race, so we get to the first round of pit stops. Kimi goes in first. Lewis follows him in. 2 laps later, he comes in. He pits. And then the Haas start to pit. So this is on lap 22. So the first Haas to pit was Kevin Magnussen. So on lap 22, Magnussen comes into pit. He comes out, but the pit crew are waving their hands about. They're going, "No, don't release," but it's all automated. So he's seen the green light. He's been released. He's gone out, and he gets about halfway around the circuit, and he's told to stop the car. It was an unsafe release. The wheel was not on correctly, and he had to stop the car, and they're going to get a fine for that. Definitely, it's an unsafe release. Unsafe release is technical infringement, therefore they will get a fine. So it's not good for Haas. They're not a big team. They've not got a huge budget, and they were running really, really well, so they could have really done the points there. A couple of laps later, Grosjean comes in, also for Haas. He comes in lap 24, and exactly the same thing happens. The wheel's not on right. You see the pit crew again with their hands up, not released, but he's released. He goes out, and he's on the straight between turn 1 and turn 2, and he just pulls it over and ditches the car. Now, unlike Magnussen, where he stopped, where they could easily recover the vehicle under double waved yellows, for Grosjean's car, they have to instigate a virtual safety car. Now, the virtual safety car comes out, under which time Vettel pits under the virtual safety car and comes out ahead of Hamilton. So Vettel pits from first and comes out in first. Now, what should happen is under the virtual safety car, times are neutralized. When it's the virtual safety car, they should all be tight. They all should all be going to delta, and going at the same speed neutralizes the race. There should be no overtaking under the safety car. Now, the problem here is when you enter the pits, you're under the pit rules. You're not under the virtual safety car delta. So you can actually go quicker going into the pits than sticking to the safety car, which is how come Vettel was able to pit and stay ahead, even though he was only 12 seconds ahead of Hamilton at the time. So there was no time for Hamilton to sort of catch up. He couldn't go any faster because it was virtual safety car, and he kept in second. And Hamilton even doesn't understand this himself. He comes on the radio and says, "I don't know what just happened. How did he get ahead of me?" Doesn't know. So a full safety car is then brought out to remove Grosjean's car. So they all tighten up again. They get away nice and cleanly, and there's no sort of instant. Hamilton can't get close enough to overtake Vettel and take lead again. The aero's not good enough for that, and he just can't catch up to him. So that was essentially the end of the race. Halfway through, that's pretty much it. It was undramatic from that point on. Pretty much a procession. Hamilton did give it a go, but he just couldn't get close enough. He couldn't get close enough for the aero to be effective to actually get in position to overtake Vettel. So Vettel is a good defensive driver from the front. We've seen that over the years. He's a 4-time world champion for a reason. So ended up, that was the standings for the end of the race. So it was first for Vettel, second for Hamilton, and Kimi Räikkönen in third. So that was our top three. That was our podium finishes. So what do we take away from today's race? Well, first off, Honda. Honda are going to have to do something about these engines. They look like they're not as good as they were saying. Performance-wise, they're still down the bottom there, and one of them let go. So are we getting a repeat of last few years that they were with McLaren? Have the Hondas improved at all? We will need to wait and see what comes of that. Obviously, they're now in the Toro Rosso, which is not quite as good a car as the McLaren, so they're going to be lower down anyway, but for an engine to let go in the first race, that's not a good sign. Haas, definitely going to be a fine there. It's going to be to the team. It's not going to be to the drivers, because it wasn't a driver error. It was a team error. It was a pit error, and that's an infringement, so there will be fines. And the fact that it happened with both drivers, that's going to be pretty hefty. They really need to get that sorted out, because the car was showing so much promise there. They were running up in the top 5, top 4 even. Magnussen got it right up there. He got past Verstappen, and we know Verstappen's very good in a pinch, and still they managed to get up there. So that's something they need to look at, because they could be big players this season. Regarding the whole pitting under the virtual safety car, now there's a couple of things that need to come out of this. First off, the rules need to be tightened up a bit, because essentially the virtual safety car should be neutralizing. So either they have to do it so that a virtual safety car pit stop takes longer, or you have to maintain the delta as you're going in, or all cars go through the pit lane. That might be a way to do it, but that does make it a lot harder for them if the whole field are going through the pit lane for releasing cars. So, but that's something that needs to be looked at. There is something that has to come of this from the rulebook side of things, because obviously the virtual safety car, if there's this loophole, everyone's going to start coming through the pit lane to resolve it, and that's not ideal. And if it is a way to sort of get a free pit stop, which is what happened there. Mercedes have come out and said that they had a computer glitch, which meant that they hadn't worked out the specific timing for Vettel's pit stop. So that could be as well something to take away from this, that Mercedes have got a problem there. Although really it was just a matter of timings, they hadn't got the timings right. Hamilton's come back and said it's okay, it's not the end of the world, it is the start of the season, and a second is still a good start. Vettel has also come out and said that he thinks the Mercedes is a better car this season than the Ferrari, so time will tell on that. Although for the championship it does look very good. If Haas can sort out their pit stops, they're going to be up there fighting in it. The McLarens have the power now. The Red Bulls, McLaren and Red Bull are pretty close at the minute. They're not quite on the level of the Ferrari and the Mercedes, but there is room for development there, so they could be up in there mixing it up. So we could even have a 5-horse race here. So there could be 5 teams fighting for it. As shown today, if you can get ahead of the Mercedes, they can't really get anywhere. Hamilton can get past Vettel, and then Bottas had a lot of trouble trying to get up into the top 10. He did make it up there, but it wasn't an easy run for him. He got stuck behind Force India for a long time, another Mercedes-powered car. So that's pretty much it for the Australian Grand Prix. despite what my t-shirt says, it's not actually the Chinese Grand Prix next, it is Bahrain. This t-shirt was got for me before Christmas. It was a Christmas gift from my mother, actually. So it was produced, and then they changed the timetable, they changed the scheduling, they swapped China and Bahrain around. So the next race weekend is Bahrain. It's on the 8th of April, so look forward to the next video on the F1. Other stuff on my channel, I do a lot of vaping videos. I do a daily vlog, so I do my daily vlog. I also do vape reviews, vape news, vape reviews. If you're unsure what a vape is, that's one of these things. Electronic cigarettes, that's what they are, and I do a lot of videos relating to them. And a lot of that goes on in those videos and talking about that. If anything like that sounds like something you're interested in, go hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more vaping stuff than there is F1, but the F1 will always be here as well. Comment below what you think about this video, like, share, subscribe, all that usual stuff. Follow me on Twitter, it's @1purplemongoose, that's the number 1. And normally I end my videos saying, as ever, vape on. But that doesn't really fit with an F1 video. So for this one, I've not really got a closing line, so I will just say, see you next race.